Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. Delighted, as always, to be joined by Thomas Cathy. This is a final prediction video for the lightweight contest taking place in San Diego this evening between Emanuel Navarrete, who's aiming to become a four-weight world champion, still only at the age of 29, against the undefeated Ukrainian Denis Berinchyk. Thomas, good to be joined by you again. We're doing a lot of these recently because there are so many big fights going on, whether they're in Saudi Arabia, the US, the UK, other parts of the world as well. Going to go right into it as usual. No breathing room here allowed. What is your final prediction for this fight?
You know, um, as Navarrete climbs up the weight classes, I'm kind of, you know, thinking, when is this guy gonna take an L? I feel like he's kind of gambling a bit the more he goes up, and I feel like it's just a matter of time before he runs into a guy who's too big, too strong for Navarrete, who he does well at the higher weight classes, but he gets the job done, but he does look like a blown up super bantamweight to me. But he just finds a way to make it happen. And it's really at this point, it's really hard for me to pick against him, despite the accolades, the amateur accolades of Berinchyk. He's a skilled fighter, obviously, but I'm not. I don't think I've seen enough from him in the pro ranks to I think it would take a special fighter to beat Navarrete, and I'm just not sure if that's Berinchyk.
Mm.
But I do think that perhaps Berinchyk gives, like in other Navarrete fights, he gives him trouble early on. Perhaps Navarrete goes down, gets hurt, but I think round 9 or 10,
Yeah.
Navarrete is going to catch up to him and get him out of there.
Yeah, no, very like concise prediction there, Thomas. I think we're not gonna beat around the bush here. Navarrete is a strong favorite here. I think it's fair to say Berinchyk hasn't operated too much at world level. He's an undefeated guy, but he's not a young fighter, and he's just not really had that big breakthrough fight yet. Navarrete, he has managed to kind of keep on winning. He obviously had that loss very early in his career, a long time ago, but he's managed to keep on winning. But I see where you're coming from about him. You feel like a loss is coming, possibly in the next couple of fights. If you consider last fight he didn't win, didn't lose, but drew Liam Wilson, a fight he was expected to win comfortably, got knocked down. And he seems to not be spending much time at kind of any weight division before moving up, and he seems to not really be facing maybe a top three, top four guy in that weight division before moving up again. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, that seems to be exactly what's going on. And yeah, like we said, I think it's only a matter of time. He's at lightweight now, so imagine he gets a belt, he wins on tonight, and he gets the belt. Um, and say he goes up against Shakur Stevenson. I don't really see him beating Shakur Stevenson at all. Um, so yeah, I think it's like we said, it's only a matter of time before he runs into someone like that I think beats him handily. Um,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, he's a fun fighter to watch, and yeah, it's hard to pick against him. There's been a couple other fights like this or a couple other fights where I feel like maybe he's gonna lose and he gets the job done. So
Mm.
yeah, I expect him to get the job done tonight.
Yeah. I think it's a bit frustrating because he could become a full world champion, a full weight world champion tonight, but I don't think he's got maybe the CV that represents that achievement, if that makes sense. Great, I think, look, fantastic win over Oscar Valdez a few months ago, but when you take away the Oscar Valdez win, I wouldn't say there were many recognizable. There are names on his record, but there's no many recognizable names. There's no names that kind of casual fans would recognize. And there are good fighters in these divisions, in featherweight, super featherweight, lightweight. But we'll see if he faces one of them in the next 12 months or so. What do you think is going to happen next, Thomas? I know it's a tough one because we don't know what weight division he's going to compete in next. He could move up again, could stay at lightweight, could move back down. Any what comes to your head when I ask you what is next for Emanuel Navarrete? I think one thing about him is he stayed active. He had 3 fights last year, so it's great to see. But any idea what this guy's going to do next? What springs to mind?
You know, if he wins, assuming he will, I would like to see him stick around and maybe fight a Lomachenko or a Stevenson. I think he's like you said, I think he's a bit overdue for
Mm,
that name on his record, or at least an opportunity to take a shot at one of those guys. I think he's deserved that. I think he's well overdue for that. So I would like to see him get one of those fights, but I wouldn't be surprised if he just goes up to 140 and just competes there and somehow gets a belt there. But 140 is a dangerous division too. I think that's a bit too much, but
yeah.
yeah, we'll have to see.
I mean, look, if you had said a couple of years ago, when he was at featherweight, a couple of years later he'd be fighting for world titles at lightweight. I'm not sure many people would have believed you. So considering his behavior or his management's behavior, you can't rule out him moving up again. You can't. I just think I would love to see. I just feel like possibly those big fights against the other world champions at lightweight, Lomachenko, Shakur Stevenson, Gervonta Davis. Can one of those fights happen by the end of this year? Because that would be a massive fight for Navarrete, and that's the sort of fight he needs. And it's the sort of fight I think we need to see how good he is. Because I've said he is likely to become a four-weight world champion tonight. We both think he will be, but we'll see. I'm going to end this video just with my prediction, Thomas. I'm going for Navarrete as well. I do think Berinchyks a good fighter, but he's not on the same level as Navarrete. However, I think it will go the distance, and Navarrete will win by unanimous decision. Thomas, good to break this one down with you. Emmanuel Navarrete's had an interesting career, and I'm sure we'll talk about him again soon. Thank you very much for your time. Enjoy the fight, and I'll speak to you again soon.
Likewise, thank you.